Welcome everyone to tonight's WWE Smackdown watch party. It is the go home show, the final event before this weekend's Fastlane. Only 5 matches announced, but they're definitely on a mission to get people watching Smackdown tonight. Cody Rhodes will be in play. Jey Uso will be back on the same show as the Bloodline for the first time in about a month. It feels like a big deal, it really isn't. We also will see at least Damian Priest and Finn Balor. Also the potential for Rhea Ripley to stare someone down. We will see Asuka back on the face side, teaming with Charlotte Flair against Io Sky and Bayley. We also have Rey Mysterio versus Bobby Lashley, and Dragon Lee making his main roster debut against Austin Theory. So plenty of people on the card, plenty of people in use. As usual, what we're doing essentially is one divisional match each. So the tag team situation is currently Street Profits. That's where Rey Mysterio versus Bobby Lashley is going. We also have, as you might expect, one women's match, that being a tag team match when it comes to the upcoming Triple Threat, which will feature, everyone but Bayley. I'd kind of like it if it featured everyone including Bayley, but it doesn't look like Bayley's getting the big opportunities anytime soon. And of course, in the main event scene, we have more John Cena, more LA Knight, and the Bloodline. I can't imagine a moment in which Jey Uso does not somehow factor into that. I also feel like this is the ideal time to have John Cena and Cody Rhodes, at the very least, share a ring. Because I feel like that hasn't happened yet. And in this incarnation of Cody Rhodes, that feels like an oversight to me. Welcome everyone to the channel. We're seeing Joe, we're seeing Pete, we're seeing Brad, Eve joining us. You're right, Dan, how you doing? Stuart Ridley says hi all. Daniel Berry saying hey as well. Pete says, how did I forget it was Fastlane tomorrow? The build hasn't been great. I'm not exactly full of excitement for this one. I'm really not. And I can only be disappointed by that. We just not really feel like, I don't feel like we're going anywhere with this one. But those tend to be the shows which pleasantly surprise. We're already opening with the usual hype package, just a recap of what's going on with the Bloodline, John Cena and LA Knight. As you might expect, during the shows I do find these quite egregious, but also at the same time, I struggle to get into AEW because they don't give me a recap and I don't know what's going on most of the time. They do serve a purpose. Dan doesn't seem very excited for a triple threat. There are definitely better ways to use your talent, particularly women's talent, where the Smackdown division feels like it's got a real wealth of talent there, but we still haven't seen Bayley versus Shotzi on a pay-per-view, and I don't know why. That seems to have been completely abandoned, and that I feel is a real shame. Bianca Belair's been missing for a while. Asuka's only just come back. On the Raw side, we have nothing so far for Fastlane, though they do seem to be building towards something. Logically, maybe we have a triple threat, Shayna Baszler, Raquel Rodriguez and Nia Jax to decide the number one contender. That's useful, but ultimately still means that for the next pay-per-view we'll have one women's match again. It's not enough for me. James says Fastlane just feels like a stacked Smackdown. It does at the minute, doesn't it? You'll have Seth Rollins and Shinsuke Nakamura in Last Man Standing. That will likely take a while, but we do have it. Pete says this helps me. I ain't been for a couple of weeks, but then they get boring. I get it. It's good for the casual viewers to keep them engaged, and if you did miss last week or just forgot what happened, it's good to have that recap. I feel like they don't overdo it. Dan says I'm tired. Took Yuki 3 hours to get through customs. I'm still 2.5 hours from home, so you're my entertainment on this train journey. Wow. I admire your commitment to talent, to the people you work with, to your colleagues. I really do admire that. 3 hours is a time, and that just seems completely unnecessary. So hopefully it's a fun train journey for you. We are opening with LA Knight. Of course, we are establishing him as a star. I still don't necessarily think we should be considering him as a championship contender. Certainly don't think he'll be winning a Royal Rumble anytime soon. But certainly Triple H has been listening to the fans when they make it clear that they want this guy pushed. James says, I hope Cody and Jey win so we can get a cash-in. I don't think the cash-in's coming for a while yet. Eric says, good evening, Tom and chat. Any news on whole main event Elimination Chamber? No, because that's 4 months away and the storylines haven't happened yet. Brad says, I think WWE needs to go back to longer cards. They could have very easily just kept the Intercontinental Championship match there. That wouldn't have been particularly difficult, let's be fair. Hello, Megan. From Megan, we have a hello and eye candy time because LA Knight. And Bayley says, will there be a watch party tomorrow? Yes, there will. We will be watching Fastlane live on this channel. Our very own Ed Fries is putting together an overlay for us because Sai's been unavailable. I'm excited to show what he's been doing. Haven't received it yet, but I'm interested. I'm intrigued. Many things can happen. Bayley says, many women on Smackdown have literally vanished. Scarlett, Tamina, Zelina, Alba Fire and Isla Dawn. 2 weeks ago, we did have a vignette for Alba Fire and Isla Dawn. Zelina Vega does continue to appear, but largely in a managerial capacity. Scarlett's been wiped off the face of the earth. I don't think Tamina's actually appeared on Smackdown. Correct me if I'm wrong. Paul Heyman immediately interrupting LA Knight before he can get past one catchphrase. The Bloodline are zeroing in on LA Knight. Moxie, how you doing, man? I don't think it's been that long a time, but welcome to the show. Dan says, AEW's lack of recap is frustrating. I get promo packages lose viewers, but how many of those will switch back because they're regular viewers and know the storylines versus how many new fans are lost because they have no idea what's going on? I feel I would watch a lot more AEW if I just had a couple of recaps. I was not particularly happy when, for example, the Hangman Page storyline was taking place. It was heralded as a huge piece of long-term storyline, long-term storytelling. You saw plenty of people, wrestling journalists and the like, really supportive of it and really pushing it. But when someone said, I don't quite understand what's going on, they tended to jump down their throats. There's nothing wrong with the occasional recap. I think WWE does it too much when you get a recap of what happened before the break. It's not great, but I do think it's very important. Snee says, I love the Kevin Nash as... I don't know what you're saying there, Snee. Peter says, there are too many storylines in AEW. I wouldn't go that far. I think everyone's got a storyline and some of them don't get featured much, but I wouldn't say there's too many. Dan says, the other thing is the promos for a number of workers fail to set the scene. They just start as though you know what's going on. Yeah. As annoying as a lot of people find it in WWE when they start with this Sunday at Fastlane, after Roman Reigns did this, I will do this, blah, blah, blah. There is a formula to it, but there's a reason for that formula. James says, if AEW had good storytelling, I'd watch. Just very lost in what goes on. A lot of the matches are pretty good. They do have good storytelling. If you do watch regularly, it is very satisfying. I've really enjoyed the MJF Adam Cole storyline. I've been keeping roughly up to date with it. The issue is that there's a lot that you just can't keep up with. Too much wrestling. Too much wrestling. So far, LA Knight's been in the ring for about 5 minutes. He said one sentence. But working alongside a Paul Heyman is only going to do good things for your career, let's be fair. Jay and Solo also haven't said anything yet. Lots of signs in the crowd with people's names on them. It's awkward. It's awkward. So it looks like the Bloodline are going to go for a beatdown, but John Cena's going to help out. Maybe Cody will help out. Brad says AEW never explaining their rules that are different from WWE is frustrating because of the lack of mainstream competition for 20 years. The first time I watched New Japan, the countouts were baffling to me. We are all a little bit indoctrinated. It's not a good thing. Garchisney, thank you for clarifying. James says MJF and Adam Cole gives me a feeling of what happened with Cody and Brock. I won't go that far. Sorry to hear that, Pete. I'm still using the BT Sport app, and yes, I said BT Sport is technically being discontinued in 6 days, so I need to upgrade. Because BT Sport go bye-bye. Jimmy Uso has taken over from Paul Heyman, and immediately you feel the drop in quality, which, by the way, is intentional. The promo itself was pretty well delivered, but it was pretty standard. Surely we're going to be hit with the John Cena music now. Unless they've announced John Cena isn't there and I've missed it. Cena chant from the crowd. They get away with this one, and here comes John Cena. Like, this is paint by numbers. No one's going to pretend otherwise. We all know what we're seeing here. Bloodline, of course, being the heels, will be convinced to walk away. Jay will step away first. He'll be blaming Paul Heyman for it, but typically Solo Sikoa will linger. Dan says, editors to create promo packages to recap feuds are literally the thing I've been trying to sort out this week. It's so important. I would agree with that. I think because a lot of your work goes on YouTube and a lot of it's based on actually dealing with people in the stadium, the arena, the hall, as it were, in the event, it does mean a recap package is vitally important. Because when it comes to a show like Eve, not everyone's going to be able to get to every show. I, of course, live nowhere near. Very glad to get to the show I was hoping to get to. I'm very glad to get to the show that you personally invited me to. Now, thank you very kindly for that. But I do think it's a shame I can't get there more often because of the distance. My kids are very eager. James says, why would Cena not go for Jimmy or Solo but just go straight in the ring? Because it's a defensive position. Defensive position. Dan says, quarter-hour numbers is what we're seeing here. Yeah. Pop the crowd. Spike the viewers. Get the John Cena pop. It's very similar to Attitude Era. Very similar to Attitude Era, back in the days of the opening 20-minute promo. You'd see your Triple H and Stone Cold, and then they'd set up a main event for the end for the last 10 minutes. And I believe that's exactly what we've just done. LA Knight versus Jey Uso in the main event with John Cena in LA Knight's corner. They went back to that formula with Triple H a while back. Triple H, of course, a big proponent of the 20-minute opening promo because he himself made the 20-minute promo more often than not. That was his zone. James says the NXT numbers next week are going to be insane. I agree with that. But that's what they're trying to do, isn't it? They're trying to really up and hype those numbers, get a lot of viewers on NXT, and that will hopefully guarantee them a pretty big boost to their revenue when they get the new TV deal money. Of course, if they can point to AEW and say, look how much more we've got than them, that will be a way of saying you should give us more money than they get. It'll up their name, up their income. Damien Priest still not trusting JD McDonough, but he's officially walking with Judgment Day now. So Judgment Day have been shown backstage, not quite in the arena yet. Our opening match will be the women's tag match. Charlotte Flair is now making her entrance, because if Charlotte Flair makes her entrance, you are not likely to change the channel. It's Charlotte Flair. Pretty standard here. Acting is essentially a de facto draw segment. Interesting then to see who the draw segment is. Logically, it's going to be Cody. Joe says, I think John Cena and LA Knight will be good together. Well, yeah, there's only so much you can really do with it. Bayley says, did AEW complete its media extension with Warner Brothers Discovery, or is that still ongoing? I'm not entirely sure. I haven't seen any reports about an extension at this point. Blue says, AEW tag rules make no sense. There's no reason to not interfere. To be fair, WWE's technical rule is that you can only interfere once, but that's not what happens. WWE play fast and loose with the rules quite a lot. I mean, you're supposed to be holding the tag rope, but no one does. You can always tell quite easily if Charlotte is face or heel based on who opens the ring for her. If she demands it, she heel. If she waits and someone does it anyway out of being nice, she face. Chris says, I'm watching 10 minutes behind. I got distracted and forgot about Smackdown. We're about to have the first commercial break, which will allow you to catch up nicely. Welcome, mate. James says, I feel like AEW are going to have a high amount of viewers, but NXT is going to have an insane amount of viewers next week. I wouldn't necessarily say insane, but certainly I think NXT is in pole position on this one. A new viewer going by Salisbury says, I live 20 minutes away from the NXT PC. I should try to go. Why? They wouldn't let you in. Blue says, Brawling Bruce versus Gallus this Tuesday. It's so loaded. Mustafa says, here for the like and chat rate. And Chris says, I plan to fast forward through the ads to catch up. Spot on. Nice and easy. Welcome, guys. A lot of people just joining us. Please do remember to hit like as you join the show. We're currently on 12. 3 more gets us to 15. We did hit a new record earlier today. 32 likes in the first 4 minutes. Pretty good spot to be in, considering we're still very much a small channel. I don't know if we'll get another record, Joe. But I do want to say, of course, a big thank you to everyone who is supporting, hitting like, chatting away. I very much appreciate having each and every one of you here to keep this show going. These watch parties, spoiler warning, doesn't work without people for me to bounce off and work with. That's you guys, and I just want to say thank you for that. As we go into the first commercial break, we have a Fastlane hype package. It's not really doing it for me. They found another way to get Cody on. No Kevin Owens, no Sami Zayn, which is difficult. No Drew McIntyre, no Gunter, no Roman, naturally. I feel like we're missing out on quite a few big names. No Rhea Ripley either. No Bianca Belair. Charlotte at least is there. Brad says, Charlotte wearing red, normally if a Flair wears red they lose. Is that a thing? I was not aware of that. Hello Adam, how you doing? Welcome to the show. Wiggly says, yo, 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 yo. Also says, I was so used to Fastlane being the month preceding Mania. Not anymore. That's the Elimination Chamber, and that's where we head to Australia. And Blue said that the house show I went to last weekend, Charlotte wrestled Io. Was really good, but had a weird energy. Charlotte came out as a face, but the crowd was mixed, and she started working heelish. Yeah, at a house show, a talented wrestler will know to read the room. Sorry guys, I just dropped something. They'll know to read the room and make a change. For example, CM Punk at Wembley against Samoa Joe realised that we in the UK really don't like him and decided to start working heel, which was very effective and made the match very enjoyable for us when he got bust through a table, or at least the bottom of a table. It were fun. It were fun. Wembley did not like CM Punk. There was a few people cheering. No one in our section. No one in our section at all. No. Not fans. So we are opening with the build for the women's triple threat. There is at this point in time only one women's match on Fastlane. They only have 5 matches in total, so there is space for another one depending on what they want to go with. It will be Io Sky defending in a triple threat against Asuka and Charlotte Flair. Charlotte Flair and Asuka, their second triple threat in a couple of months. So after one triple threat with Bianca, they go straight into another triple threat with Io Sky. Of course, Bianca Belair likely to return at some point soon. Io Sky, as I reported previously, is working through the list. James says, CM Punk actually in talks with WWE to return. Pardon me. I've heard absolutely nothing about CM Punk being in talks to return. But for those of you who aren't aware, I'm really proud of the video on CM Punk that I created on Sunday. It details a lot of what's going on with the media at the moment, how CM Punk is using the wrestling media to create a narrative that the WWE wants him back. One person in wrestling media in particular is really ensuring that there seems to be a lot of teases for CM Punk. There isn't. There is one person in the media who will not stop asking the same question. So I feel that's something to keep an eye on. Brad says, I laughed at Joe making the jerking off motion at All In. Knew his audience. Wiggly for pie? Interesting question. I'm a chicken and mushroom guy. Blue says, any idea what the 6th match might be for Fastlane? I don't think there's going to be a 6th match. I think there's going to be 5 matches. I think the last man standing match will be more than 40 minutes. That's as far as I go. I think Saudi Arabia will be Rhea Ripley versus Nia Jax, and that's why we haven't really seen much as regards the women's division on Raw. Maybe they'll slip Becky Lynch into there, but she's working NXT at the minute. So, yeah, I think this one will be quite quiet. Next time round, we'll get a United States Championship match and a Rhea Ripley match. And then we go to Survivor Series with War Games. So we're getting there. We're getting there. I'm not a MASH guy, Wiggly. It's really important to you to know everything I like to eat, isn't it? Interesting, Adam. Not quite where we're going. Why do you hope Charlotte loses? Tell me more. James, WrestleMania is 100% not the source for that story. Gotta follow it all the way. If they're taking credit for it, it is absolutely wrong. Yeah, Blue, I do still think it's possible. But at this point in time, honestly, with the people coming to Smackdown and the matches that have been announced, I don't know what that final match could be. So, personally, I have in that time changed my mind. Io Sky walking at the head of Damage Control at this point. Dakota Kai, as we've mentioned, is not cleared yet. Will likely be cleared in 142. Asuka is not a face here, and I feel we need to remind people of that. But it's interesting seeing Io Sky at the front of Damage Control. Bayley versus Io Sky is where I think we're heading for WrestleMania. No worries, Blue. No worries. I don't know what the Smackdown lowdown is, but apparently we're getting clips from it. So this tag team is on a bit of a precipice. Asuka and Charlotte Flair, historically rivals and not the best of friends, but also former tag team champions. Wrestling. What the hell? Adam says, Tom, I can tip the hype around her anymore. She's just... Okay. I think this is one of her least hyped periods. Joey says, I really don't like these. Can they coexist tag teams? I don't think they're really playing it as a coexist tag team. I'm reading into their history. I think Asuka's just a face now, personally, so I don't think that's going to be an issue. Kieran says, if anything gets added, it'll probably be another Waller effect show. That would make sense. Not immediately sure who would be the guest. Maybe Nia Jax. Maybe Drew McIntyre. Gotcha, James. Thank you for sourcing. Brad says, Asuka missed Charlotte. I'm calling it. And Blue says, Tom, you've mentioned wanting Bayley to win the Rumble. Do you think that would lead to the breakup of Damage Control? Yep. I think that's where we're headed. I think before the Royal Rumble, Bayley turns on Io out of pure jealousy, wins the Rumble, and then that's our WrestleMania match. I still think there's a possibility of Io versus Asuka versus Kairi, but Asuka's kind of been forgotten about again. Joey says, why do they keep doing the same triple threat women's matches? Lack of ideas. Just a pure lack of ideas. It's not good. It's not good at all. Bayley says, Tom, next week marks the 4-year anniversary since the epic Bayley heel turn. When and how do they make the move back to a face? I don't think they do, to be honest. I think she's locked in for quite a while now. If it does happen, it'll be in a few years and it'll be a Seth Rollins style. Sorry, I've just seen Dakota Kai holding the Women's Championship and I'm excited. Can she just keep... Nope, that would be rude. But she... No. It'd be good, though. It'd be good, though. Previously, and this is one of the main reasons I'm thinking we won't get any element of Asuka versus Io. Previously, Asuka was being kept separate from Io as much as possible. They weren't engaging. It meant that when they eventually did step in the ring, it would feel special, and then it just kind of didn't. Because it happened a couple of weeks ago, and it was very forgettable. I don't know. Just expected a bit more, you know? James says, hinting at Dakota winning the Rumble. Is it? Is it? Don't think it is. Joe's confident about his predictions. Cool. Chris says, I've caught up just in time for another commercial break. Just in time. I know, Wiggly, we saw what you said. We saw you said you were going to forget her. Bet she saw it too. Bet she's totally watching and she found out. Mean. Mean. Dakota Kai I don't think will be used particularly strongly over the next few months. It was a serious injury. They'll phase her back in over time. She'll start to get physical over the next couple of months and start to actually get wrestling matches. She'll be in the Rumble, I'm sure, but I think she'll just be backing up Bayley. Adam says, hey Tom, you know what's funny? You won't believe it. Ringside News is reporting CM Punk is using the hype to try to get back into WWE, basically confirming your report like I said earlier. Yep, I totally believe it. I totally believe it. How many times have I said that people are checking my reports? I mean, there's one guy, I think his name's Christoph, who literally just word for word copies my reports and shares them. And then claims that he got it from his sources. Yeah, not quite how it works. Brad says, Dakota and Tegan, two of the most underrated wrestlers in my opinion. They used to be a tag team, so that does make sense. KJ says, what's up Tom? What's up KJ? How you doing mate? Snee, calm down. Just saying it real clear. Calm down. Jenny, welcome to the show. Says, are Jay and Cody there tonight on Smackdown? Yes, they are. They are following the Judgment Day, and the Judgment Day have not only been confirmed, but they have been shown backstage. I suspect personally they'll be in the draw segment, and what I mean by draw segment is the slot right between the turn of the hour when they just don't want anyone turning off. Yes, P, blame Wiggly. Brad says, Team Kick all day. Joey said, did Christoph get banned from your channel? Yeah, because he went absolutely insane. I don't know how better to describe it. He went absolutely insane. He was reporting a lot of what I was mentioning, what I was reporting, but he was reporting it as his own, and he was annoyed at me for not giving him credit for my reports. So, yeah, he got banned. He still watches. He might be watching right now. Probably not, because this is a watch party, but he does watch, and I know this for a fact. Spoiler warning, because he's constantly reporting what I report as his. I mean, he kept saying he doubted me and doubted everything I was reporting, and then he kept trying to post it for clout. Says it all for me. We are back to our tag team match, nearly a quarter of the way through SmackDown so far. KJ says, hey Tom, remember earlier how you were saying WWE will listen to doctors a bit more about clearing people? Will that new way affect Dakota? No. I mean, they'll be careful with her, but it's not considered to be a serious long-term injury. Wiggly Christoph used to visit here pretty regularly. He now basically just posts on Twitter. I think it goes by Wrestling Informer or something like that. We're not friends. Kieran says, has there been any update on Kairi Sane to WWE? Nothing. Once again, she has not signed a WWE contract at this point in time. She has not signed a WWE contract at this point in time. Moxie says, I suspect we're going to get a Judgment Day and Bloodline interaction backstage tonight, as in Jimmy, Solo or Paul. I would suspect so as well, but I don't think it'll be backstage. I think it'll be right out there in the ring. Joe says, Tom, what matches would be your dream matches for WrestleMania 40? Well, Joe, I already have a video on YouTube which details all of my predictions for next year's WrestleMania. I advise you to check it out. It's quite a lot of fun and has quite a lot of views. Io Sky is biting Asuka. I think they're recognizing that Io Sky is getting too many cheers. They need to make her a heel again, and it's not quite working. Io Sky is one of those where it's difficult to boo her. It's difficult to even imagine she's a heel. They need Bayley to be working with her just so that you don't 100% root for her. Joey says, yeah, I don't know what his problem is. He must be desperate for attention online. Pretty much. The thing is, it's infuriating because he gets sort of the zero news treatment at times. Some of his tweets have had thousands upon thousands of views, which would set my YouTube channel up. It's my news. It's what I report. But someone else gets credit for it. Someone else gets clout, as it were. Now, my focus is very much on the people who are here. And as far as I'm concerned, as long as you guys know what's going on, I'm appreciative. As I said earlier, though, I do appreciate everyone. And it's been happening a lot recently. Everyone who's putting me over on the social media platforms. Everyone who's pointing out what I've reported, who's posting a YouTube video of mine, who's helping to spread the word. I'm very grateful for all of you. Thank you. Chris says, I've learned never to doubt Tom. Appreciate that, Chris. Adam says, Tom, I'm surprised Sean's views isn't making videos about your reports. He does others. I wouldn't really know about that. He drops in here every now and then, I can say that. And he's responded to tweets that put me over, so he knows. Brad says it's more so back injuries and concussions they want to be safe about. Big, I had to guess. I wouldn't say you have to guess per se. It's potentially career-ending injuries they're going to be careful with. Asuka does not have Ioskai's shoulder down. I don't know what happened there. Really have no idea what happened there. Sneeze says Io is a new RVD. I get what you're saying there. When RVD came in, he was a bad guy, but nobody cared. And Joey says Io has been Triple H's best return. You're probably right, but she never left. So she's not a return. She was a debut, she was called up, but she never actually left. Adam, I have no idea what that question is supposed to be. What I am is a grown-ass man. So I tend to solve problems by solving problems. So option C, grown-ass man. And when you're a grown-ass man, you don't often go it down to, will you fight or will you run? Fight or flight isn't a thing. There's also freeze, for example. There's also think. Charlotte Flair's had the hot tag. We did not get anywhere near enough time between Charlotte Flair and Bayley last week. I don't know what the cartwheel was for. That was kind of pointless. It's nice to see them back in action, at least get a little more time than they did last week. We're still not going to get much of Charlotte because of the hot tag, but we'll get something. Again, with the cartwheel, I don't get it. I don't get it. Joey says, I'm sure Tom is getting into high school fights with people. All the time. All the time. Snee thinks the biggest mistake WWE made was firing Tony Storm. I can think of other ones, mostly involving Vince McMahon and some of the terrible decisions he made. Adam thinks Bronson Reed's the best return. James says, I feel like WWE's changed their ways of injuries. I don't feel that way. I reported that way about 2 hours ago. Thank you, Brad. Thank you, Joe. Appreciate that. Hello, Tyler. How you doing, mate? Welcome to the show. It's a double superplex in play. I thought for a moment it was a Tower of Doom. Is Io Sky there to get involved? Dakota Kai into... Okay, to be clear, why does Dakota Kai need to distract the official to get a Tower of Doom going? It's not like it's going to be a problem. That was terribly done. That was not good at all. Bayley landed real rough there. Oh, that was completely uneven. The height of Charlotte compared to the height of Asuka made that move very difficult to pull off. Joey says, letting go of Adam Cole and Aleister Black were mistakes, I think. Adam Cole they didn't let go of. Adam Cole wanted to leave. Very different situation. The WWE had zero control over that. Quite possibly, James. I think you've been here long enough that you know basically how I lay things out. And I think I focus enough on the business element of WWE and things like draw segments and the like, that there are times where we all match up. It's been funny watching the discourse today about Gunther not having a dedicated finisher. I still remember when he first debuted in the main roster and in a watch party, I went into great detail about him not having a finisher. It was actually in, I believe, the match of Ilya Dragunov in NXT that I first went into detail on it. And nowadays, people are starting to notice. Oh, look, they can't coexist. Charlotte Flair has just done a big boot to Asuka. Very paint by numbers so far this week. Adam says Dakota Kai and Chelsea Green are the only Triple H returns to win a title. Bayley accidentally running into Io, and that's going to cost her the match because Charlotte can't lose. No, James Gunter has a variety of finishes. He's won with a splash, he's won with a clothesline, he wins with a powerbomb. He has a dedicated actual finisher, which they insisted that he get when Vince McMahon was in charge, and then Triple H said, nah, don't worry about it. No, Wiggly, I don't, and I'm in a show right now, so I'm not going to look it up. I doubt they're really going to tease a breakup of Damage Control this early. Doesn't make sense. But as they're building towards a triple threat, it only makes sense that they show some tension between Charlotte Flair and Asuka. The Bloodline are backstage. We're approaching the third of the way mark. Jay was definitely about to swear. And the Bloodline seem to have lost their dressing room. Cody and Jay? Oh no, Judgment Day. So it should be. Taking over. I'm sorry. Has Dom got a llama? So it's the year of Judgment Day. The best way to make this happen, the best way to build them, heavily involves anything involving the Bloodline. Chris says, of course, Charlotte gets the win. Joey says, do you think Gunter would have been booked as strong if Vince was still in charge? Nope. How do we rate that match then? How do we rate that match? Personally, I thought it was okay. Again, very paint by numbers. Asuka just got beat up. Charlotte Flair had a few big moves and that was that. The Tower of Doom spot was not strong. At most, I would give it a 6. Given the people involved, it should have been a lot better. But we didn't get much high flying from Dakota Kai. We didn't get much ground and pound from Asuka. We didn't even get an attempted submission from Charlotte. It was missing something. Bayley gives it a 6. Jack gives it a 6.5. Get your ratings in, guys, and let me know what you thought of Charlotte Flair and Asuka versus Io Sky and Bayley as we reach the 1/3 of the way point. Sneeze says, a Tower of Doom sounds like a finish the Road Warriors should have had. I believe they were involved in the origination of it. Pete gives it a 4. Hello, Red Top Rich, how are you? And Chris gives it a 6 out of 10, just not a fan of Charlotte in the title picture. I think that's true of a lot of fans. Last week when she announced she was coming for Io Sky's championship, the fans which had cheered her in turned on her. I think as long as she's away from the championship, the fans will give the benefit of the doubt, but not in any other circumstance. James says, I can never get around Charlotte's matches. Yeah, because they're always happening. They're inescapable. Brad says 6. The Tower of Doom spot scared me and hurt my lower back and neck. He says back, but I'm assuming you mean neck. I don't think that makes sense. Megan says 5. Okay TV match, but I felt like they were hoping to preserve for the pay-per-view / PLE. They gave them too much time if they were trying to preserve, but I get what you're saying. They didn't really connect the dots, as it were. Joey says the match was a bit sloppy, felt like a regular tag match, nothing special. Adam says, hey Tom, why did Vince fire all the NXT stars that Triple H was close to? He didn't. And his employees? Well, that was unrelated. That was in the merger of UFC. Adam, this is an area in which you do not excel. I know what you're heading towards, and you've never been right on it. Let it go. Stop asking stuff about this particular topic. That's it. Vince did not fire all the NXT stars Triple H was close to. In no way did he do that. Also, when it comes to his employees, Vince McMahon fired his own employees as he merged roles. I've covered this at length. Okay? Remember what happened last time. Joey says it would be nice to see Charlotte involved in a non-title match for once. Gruesome sneak. Did I miss something, Pete? What did I say? Wiggly, why are you sharing details of exactly where you're going to be at what time? Why are you doing this? This isn't the platform for that. I'm not trying to get you a stalker. I'm not going to go visit you. It's not going to happen. Why is it so important for me to acknowledge the exact details of where you're going to be? Like, putting the exact time, strange behaviour. Moxley says it looks like they're teasing something like a Judgment Day versus Bloodline match. I'm down for it. War Games be coming, so War Games be coming. They need another member of the Bloodline to make it work, but why not? They are confirming what will be our main event, LA Knight versus Jimmy Uso. Joey says, got some strange chats tonight, which is true. James says, are you coming to Australia for Elimination Chamber? No, why would I do that? Why would I do that? There is a stare down. Visible Finn Balor. Okay. I suspect Rhea Ripley might be trying to get a championship match for Dominic Mysterio against Roman Reigns. Damian Priest and Solo Sikoa not keen on separating. Solo's lingering, as typical, until Paul Heyman relieves him. Is that a Bobby chant? Is Bobby Lashley in the ring? If they're going to talk, surely it's Dominic Mysterio challenging Roman Reigns. Joe gave the match a 5. James says, who runs the Judgment Day? Whoever the hell they want. They are self-governing. There is no higher power. It's not Vince McMahon. It wasn't Vince McMahon all along, Austin. James says, Rhea versus Solo. I'm down. No. Rhea versus Drew. That's the match we want. So I think there was something with Bobby Lashley, because we're showing a recap of the Street Profits attacking the LWO. I'd imagine this is where we're officially going to be mentioning the match that we're having at Fastlane. I still maintain there was a tiny little tease of Santos Escobar turning on Rey. Marmy, thank you, James. That makes perfect sense. Perfect sense. Chris says it feels like Rhea runs Judgment Day. Right now it does, because she's taking charge. But different people have different moments. They're self-governing. Joey says, who was actually running NXT 2.0? Shawn Michaels. It was always Shawn Michaels. So Rey Mysterio versus Bobby Lashley is up next. After that will be our draw segment. This takes me back. The full LWO walking out, including Zelina Vega, who was mentioned earlier, so that we will have some backup in play. Now again, this takes me back. Rey Mysterio against a giant. I feel like we spent years watching this. If it gets lawn darted, I'm going to be very happy. Rich, you know what you're doing, and I ain't going to let it slide. That simple. Move on. Move on or go bye-bye. You're not needed here. You can be here if you want to be. If you don't want to be here, you don't have to be. Thought so. James says Vince runs NXT 2.0, which he didn't. Sneeze says Adam Copeland is a Judgment Day's higher power. I mean, there is some history. Joey says I thought it was Vince and Bruce running it. It was always Shawn Michaels. Vince McMahon made an edict that NXT wasn't fit for purpose and they needed to rebrand it. And then Shawn Michaels did. Shawn Michaels ran it. Brad says Rey versus Nash. Yep, that's history I'm thinking of. And Joey says this match feels like it's from 2007. There are a lot of people in the WWE now who've been there for a very long time, and we've only just moved on some of them, like Shelton Benjamin. I find it interesting this is a non-title match as well. I mean, if you got the United States Championship, why wouldn't you defend it? And James thinks Bobby has the best spear. Wiggly says, or Rhea wants Nia, which has absolutely no need to contact Paul Heyman if that's the case. Megan says, what happened? I was too busy staring at Damian Priest. Damian Priest was staring at another man. And it was hot. Bayley says, what is the match you'd book for Rhea Ripley in Australia? Logically, based on who we have, it would have to be someone of the heel persuasion. Personally, Nia Jax makes the most sense. Because people hate Nia Jax. Thus making her perfect for this situation. I might try and bring Ronda Rousey back for one night only. It'd be fun. The Undertaker's going to be at NXT. They intentionally just gave the game away. They intentionally just gave the game away. The Undertaker's going to be at NXT. James says, Bobby has the best spear. Ain't gonna lie. I think Roman has the best spear, personally. Joey says, do you think Bronson Reed is going to get a big push going into Elimination Chamber? No. Not a big one. Yes, James, that was indeed the Undertaker's gong. Undertaker's going to be at NXT. The thing is, even if he's not, they've just guaranteed people will turn up because the media is going to dive on that. Joey says NXT is really trying to beat AEW next week. Feels like the Monday Night Wars again. It's not just about beating AEW. It is not just about beating AEW. To be clear, they're also trying to get the highest viewership that they can to make a simple deal and a simple offer to state to TV companies that want NXT, it's going to cost you because we're worth more than you realise. Certainly, if they want more money than the money for AEW Dynamite, beating AEW is preferential as well. Red Top, you're on timeout, and you exactly know why. Once again, if you don't want to be here, don't be here. Brad says, I think Rhea will be in an Elimination Chamber match at Elimination Chamber. I also agree with that. I think that's quite likely. We will need, essentially, the people who don't have a Royal Rumble winner to be working out who their challenger at WrestleMania is going to be. I think a SmackDown wrestler, that being Bayley, will win the Royal Rumble to go up against Io Sky, meaning we'll need a challenger for Rhea Ripley. Becky Lynch certainly I think is going to be the one, but Rhea Ripley defending the championship in the Chamber will be a nice quick way to get there. I think at Elimination Chamber, Rhea Ripley in the middle of the ring will pin Becky Lynch 1, 2, 3. And yes, Gomar, it was The Undertaker's bell. James says, okay, I'm definitely watching now. I suggested if you want to see some Undertaker, that'd be the way. Moxie just lists, War Games team says Roman, Solo, Priest and Finn versus Cody, Jay, Sammy and KO. I found that very unlikely, primarily because of the lack of Jimmy Uso. They are pushing him right now. I don't know if you've noticed, but he's getting a pretty significant push. At most, this match is going to get 10 minutes. Rey Mysterio could be the draw segment. I just don't think he will be. Then the match will finish. We'll have our commercial break, and then Cody Rhodes will make his appearance. After all, the man's over, and the man knows how to generate some interest. They're pushing Dragon Lee versus Austin Theory later tonight. That, of course, will be the match after the draw segment. Triple H very much likes his 4-match Smackdowns, the old half-hour blocks that I've discussed previously. He likes his half-hour blocks. Bobby Lashley getting his full entrance. It's been a while since we've seen him wrestle. James says, do you ever feel like they're going to be doing Jimmy versus Jay versus Solo versus Roman at Mania? No. There does seem to be a lot of excitement in the arena for Bobby Lashley. More than I expected, but he looks great. The Street Profits look fantastic with him. Angelo Dawkins in particular looks amazing, I've got to say. Montez Ford always looked good in a suit. Angelo Dawkins has turned it up a notch, I'll say that. Goes tomorrow at Fastlane. It is LWO versus Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits. They are pointedly saying it's a 6-man tag, meaning that I expect someone to be eliminated from contention tonight. I definitely think the heels are winning that one. So it could be anyone. Could be Rey Mysterio. Joey says Bobby's been really over with the Profits. He has. It's been a big help to everyone involved. Again, a big chant for Bobby Lashley. Rey, by the way, is not going to wrestle heel. That's not his job tonight. The fact that they're hyping up the size difference, that brings back memories. I wasn't really a WCW guy, but what I caught up afterwards, it just brings back memories. Lashley just dominant, which is of course fitting for the character that he has. Megan says, this is Lashley's first TV match in nearly 5 months, from May 12th against Sheamus and Corbin. Oof. To my knowledge, he hasn't even been injured. They just haven't had anything lined up for him. I don't think we're going to see him against anyone particularly big. What I do think and do kind of hope is that firstly, at WrestleMania, we see Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn against the Street Profits. I think they've teased that already, and it's the most logical option for the Tag Team Championships. But I also kind of hope for Bobby Lashley versus Gunther. I just think Lashley might be the only person who can reasonably be expected to beat Gunther. I think that's a match he could win without Gunther really losing any momentum. And hey, they've got to get the Intercontinental Championship off him somehow. There's only so many ways. Joey says Bobby's getting a big face reaction when they're supposed to be a heel group. Yep, sometimes you're just too cool. It's almost like his NWO. James says they're bringing back Giants. They're not bringing them back. They've been there the whole time. Hey, the user. How you doing, man? Brad just says Lashley. Just Lashley. Like a perfume. Eau de parfum. Lashley. Lashley, Bobby. I can see it working. Yeah, this is... Okay, this whole show is going to be paint by numbers, isn't it? This is a very bog standard, obvious match. Going for the Dominator. His variant of the Dominator, I should say. Rey Mysterio, of course, will just be evasive, which will work out pretty well for him. That Lion Salt. Kick out at 1. Don't always see that. That's usually a Drew McIntyre trick. It's just the usual tricks, you know? Being evasive, running away at the right time, the occasional counter. Meanwhile, the big guy's slow and lumbering and like Trunks against Cell in Dragon Ball Z. It's not the easiest way to play it, but Rey Mysterio has had practice. The user says, why WWE really wanting to beat AEW on Tuesday? Surely having Cody would be enough. As I mentioned, it's not just about beating AEW. They're confident they can do that without all of the additions that they've had, particularly with Becky Lynch already in play. And Adam, you're gone. For good. Gave you another chance, you wasted it. Job done. You won't be missed. So, as I was saying, it's not just about beating AEW, it's also about establishing that they are the hot brand worth watching. If they can get up to the above 1 million viewership, if they can establish that they are beating AEW Dynamite in the ratings, then certainly as a TV executive, you're looking at the TV deal that AEW has and you're thinking, well, NXT has to be worth more, surely. And it will be. So it's a selling point. It's a marketing angle. It's effective. It's not just about beating AEW, though that of course would be a very positive bonus as well. I might write something up on that. Oh, while I've got people, I asked a question earlier. For those who saw the CM Punk video and enjoyed it, whether you didn't enjoy it or enjoyed it, let me know. I was wanting to ask what you guys think I should focus on next. What I want to do is sort of similar videos where we do a breakdown of media coverage of. So it's a case of laying out, this is the story, this is how the media covered it, this is what actually happened, etc., etc. So there's a few different suggestions that I have that I would love to get some feedback on. Some of them will take longer times to research, so it'll be a case of waiting for the research to be done about this, that, and the other. So my ideas so far are a breakdown of the hiring of Cody Rhodes and Jade Cargill, why the WWE are hiring particular AEW stars, and why they are essentially providing certain things. Okay? If that was a different Adam, James, then that's the Adam that's gone. It's very possible he was Red Top Rich, let's be fair. But that's the thing. They're gone, they're gone. If that was a different Adam, Adam can certainly speak up and let me know. Works for me. YouTube unfortunately works in that way where they don't really verify. Yeah, we got troll. Keep making accounts. Keep making accounts. And I'll just finish off. Yep, Red Top Rich. Finished off. So, Cody Rhodes, Jade Cargill, why the WWE wanted them, why the WWE have used them in the way that they have, and what information the WWE intentionally leaked to try and get the hype out there. I doubt it's Adam Joey. I think it's probably Red Top Rich just reacting to being banned. The second idea that I had was Sasha Banks. As regards Sasha Banks leaving the WWE, and eventually how we got to a point where she went to AEW. Now, there's obviously a lot in that. There is a lot of background as to Sasha Banks and her disagreements when it comes to the women's division, how the women's division was used. A lot of that will actually cover the creation of the Women's Tag Team Championships. So that would lead to eventually her signing with AEW. So that's one of the other ideas. The third one would be about Randy Orton. How he got injured, the WWE information that they have failed to release, how people learned that it was a serious injury, and then, given that we don't have much information about what happened, how so many people suddenly knew exactly what was going to happen and that he was going to appear at Money in the Bank this year, and how decisively they stated he was going to be there and then he wasn't. That would wrap up with what we talked about earlier, and spoiler warning, essentially stating I don't expect him to be back, at least for a long time, based on what the WWE are doing with their doctors at the moment. There is one more I thought about while I was discussing this earlier. That is a bit of coverage about the reported WWE sale to Saudi Arabia. Now, I just think that was a horribly bad moment for wrestling media in general, and wrestling fans who believed it. So I think that might be something worth considering, worth covering, and worth looking into a little more deeply to see which players reported what, and what's happened to them since, which, by the way, is nothing. I just think that'd be interesting to look back on now that WWE has been sold and not to Saudi Arabia. There's a couple of other things which essentially are just going really into wrestling media. For example, I've said for a long time, don't trust Ringside News. Don't trust Zero News. I could do the research and put my money where my mouth is and make a YouTube video simply titled Why I Don't Trust Ringside News. That would be a nice easy one because I'd post on Twitter about the video, tag Ringside News and watch them have a full-blown meltdown, which would then be the advertising for the video and guarantee me more viewers. So I could do that. Those are the ideas. Can you guys let me know what you think I should do? So what do you think I should do? What of those ideas would you like to see? And then I'll certainly consider that for the videos, which will be going live on Sundays. So every Sunday I'm planning to do a deep dive video like I did with CM Punk, same style, same physical appearance. Those are the ideas that I've had. So what ideas have you had, etc. Let's see. Snee says Undertaker versus Dominic Mysterio confirmed. The user said, I quite enjoyed the Punk video, thank you. Appreciate that. One says, hey Tom, is it safe to say AEW will bend over Tuesday and accept defeat? Whoever gets what ratings gets what ratings. There's no bending over. You either get the ratings or you don't. And at the minute, AEW don't. James says, the Cody and Jade story would be cool. Khalid says, great to see you. Nice to see you too. And James and Mick laughing at the trolls. What time am I on tomorrow? I go live with the pre-show, which means midnight UK time, 7 p.m. Eastern time for the pre-show. James says, I think if the Saudi story came out closer to all the soccer players going to Saudi, it would be more believable. Mick is asking, can they not strike you for that? And imagine this is as regards ringside news. And to be clear, no. The main reason they can't strike me is because there's no copyright aspect. None whatsoever. The sourcing I would use would not necessarily be ringside news, but even so, it would be a transformative work. And if it's a transformative work, then copyright does not apply. They could try, they would not be successful. That simple. To be fair, with all the advertising I'd get, I could just have it unmonetized anyway and still enjoy the growth. Brad would like to see why I don't trust ringside news. Also, a large part of why they couldn't really do anything about it is because I phrase it why I don't trust ringside news. I'm clearly sharing an opinion and then sharing evidence of why I don't believe they are worth my time. Because let's be fair, they ain't. If they're clever, they'll just ignore it completely. They won't. But if they're clever, they would. A 619 to the gut. Ray with some hope and some opportunity here. I wish him luck. Khalid, there are definite suggestions that's what's going to happen. Joey says their owner, this is ringside news, seems pretty unhinged. He was always starting fights with people on Twitter. Naturally, that would be part of the discussion. If you're going to talk why you should or shouldn't trust people, that's quite telling. Dom says that was hard to the stairs. Some people just know how to sell. All right, Dom, how you doing, mate? We are now getting a proper example of what the six-man tag will look like. Rey Mysterio picked his battle there to try and make sure he took both of them out. Wait until Montez Ford got in his spot. There's the spear. And that will be that. Rey Mysterio was never going to win this one. The heels win tonight. The heels will win tomorrow night as well. Bobby Lashley running from a Santos Escobar chair. Santos Escobar chair. The Lena Vega doing reaction face. Always good. Joey says ringside news barely report anything. They just repost what other journalists report. Yeah, but they do try and report things, which they call exclusives. There's quite a few of them. Moxie says this year has been the best year in wrestling history, in my opinion, especially the Bloodline storyline, Edge going to AEW and Jade Cargill going to WWE. Immediately getting a brief replay, thankfully, of the finish of the match. The draw segment in the end was Rey Mysterio and Bobby Lashley. Right. Okay, so this is kind of what I was expecting. The two, shall we say, least over members of the LWO are getting stretchers called for them. So they're getting taken out of the match, and they will need a mystery partner. For example, Dragon Lee. Chris says Ray got speared out of his boots on that one. Dom says, why does Lashley have to do the front flip? Just take the spear and turn it into shake my head. Momentum. Pure momentum. Rhea Ripley playing with the ring is fun. But what she asked for. Bayley's given the match a 4 out of 10, says it was a time filler, which in many ways it was. Snee suggests Carlito could be the one. Okay, so it is the idea of Judgment Day and Bloodline joining. War Games might well be crazy. Roman's not going for it. Mick says LA Knight questions his current spot in WWE for Fastlane. Ringside News, October 6th. Kevin says, your opinion, what is going to be match of the night tomorrow? Probably the women's triple threat. Paul Heyman needs to get permission from Roman, naturally. Ms. Ripley, he said. It sounded like miserably. Rhea Ripley is now claiming to be the tribal chief. Okay, Rhea is stepping up to Roman. Oh. That had an effect. Paul, pick your battle. Paul, pick your battles. Can I just say, Rhea Ripley's the best thing to happen to the WWE in years. Oh. Okay, give me this at War Games. Give me all of it. Just give me all of it. Just give me all of it. Oh. This is why I watch wrestling. It's almost the entire reason. Megan says a 7 for the match. Pretty good for TV. Nice preview for tomorrow at the end. Brad gives it a 5. Snee says the Judgment Line sounds like a very, very dodgy railway station. Kevin says, why did WWE never take the draft seriously? They do. They made pretty big changes. Thank you, Joe. Mick Moon says, how do you know, Tom, if a source is reliable? History. You essentially look back through their backlog, and you don't just look at the front page. You look back over the course of months at their work and see how often they're right and how often they're wrong. Now, an idea I was talking about earlier is I want to put together essentially a database, a spreadsheet, whatever you want to call it, where you can input the source, the story, the date. Then you work out whether it was true or whether it was false. And you need to provide some actual evidence of it being true or false. And then you can use that to work out certain outlets and work out their ratio of true versus false and get a percentage of how strong each individual outlet is. Okay? Just proven right. Anything not proven either way, don't count. It does not count. I think that would be very, very useful. James says Rhea versus Roman at Mania. I'd take it. And Mick says 2 heel factions going at it like the corporation and the ministry. Before, of course, we had the corporate ministry. Megan just says War Games, anyone? I could see it. Brad acknowledges Rhea Ripley. Bayley says, let's not forget she's 26. She has at least another 15 years at the very top. Joey says, do you think Carlito could return tomorrow and help the LWO? I think he could. I think Dragon Lee's the future. I think Carlito's the past. Moxie says Roman is going to be pissed next week with Rhea. Yes, he is. Sort of working against the suggestion that it's going to be Cena. Joe likes the idea of the video about Cody and Jade Cargill. We haven't really had a definitive answer as to what I should really do for this Sunday's video. I'll have a think and see what I come up with. In many ways, it's also dependent on what I can research and what I find. Some things take longer than others. Cody and Jade Cargill is easy enough because I've reported it personally, so quite a lot of that there. A few of us ranked the match, Dom. The numbers were there. Chris says, yes, you can, Tom. I've been singing her praises for years. Kevin says, Tony Khan needs Mercedes money on Tuesday fast. Maybe she'll be there. But of course, once she appears, he has to start paying her. Because then she's officially appeared in AEW. Thank you, Khalid. I appreciate that. I will happily acknowledge Rhea Ripley, even if you guys won't. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Happily. We currently have 27 people watching and 17 likes. If you can, if you're just joining us, pardon me, please consider being one of the free, just free people who can hit like right now, and make it 20. 3 more likes gets to 20. We have 27 people watching. Can you be the one in free? Or the free in free? Can you please hit like? And he says AW needs Bill Goldberg. No, they don't. And Beth Copeland's stat. Maybe Beth Phoenix should be a huge get. Bill Goldberg, hell no. Jane says, realistically, Rhea is going to be the most successful women's champion if she has 15 plus years of dominance. Yeah. Except for Charlotte. Charlotte's going to break Ric Flair's record. Rhea Ripley's going to have what's called long championship reigns instead, which Charlotte never really managed. We've hit that 20 and then some. Hitting 21. Thank you, everyone. So not too long left of SmackDown so far. Again, very paint by numbers. No real surprises. Nothing really stands out as exciting apart from Judgment Day. Judgment Day being fantastic so far. I believe we're getting another vignette for Isla Dawn. Yes, we are. And Alba Fire. To be clear, logically, we should also get a Pretty Deadly vignette. That'd be fun. I mentioned that there are plans to rebrand a number of characters and that Triple H is attempting to protect some of the people on his roster by involving them more than he would have done if people weren't actively being released. This seems to be a clear indication of both of those stories. Eric says a Judgment Day Bloodline alliance could be interesting. I absolutely agree. Completely agree. Kervin says SmackDown is going to be USA Network. Can you see SmackDown being a 3-hour show soon? No. James says Charlotte is going to come out of retirement if Rhea comes close to beating her record. Yes, she is. But to be fair, Trish Stratus is already doing that. Sometimes people do that. The women's tag team champions, Dom, are Chelsea Green and Piper Niven. Austin Theory got his entrance. Dragon Lee gets his. I can't imagine this match being particularly long. 15 minutes maybe at most. And then we head into basically 10 minutes of backstage segments and recaps before our main event. Austin Theory, particularly about the championship, is perfect to bring in Dragon Lee. Cameron Grimes, who we saw last week, I don't think we'll see much more of for a little while. Unless the plan at this point is Dragon Lee and Cameron Grimes versus Austin Theory and Grayson Waller. Now, it's a decent spot for Grayson Waller. Certainly keeps Austin Theory relevant after losing his championship as well. But it does feel like they're doing a lot of tag team matches at the moment. Mick says AEW still have a long way to go to compete. I don't think anyone would disagree with that. They've never actually competed with the WWE. They've always been the number 2 promotion. But to be clear, getting to being the number 2 promotion as quickly as they have is quite an achievement. I mean, Wembley was big, even though it wasn't the record they thought it was. Eric says, what do you think the main event is going to be? It's going to be Jimmy versus LA Knight. James says Cody and Jay are supposed to be here. Yes, they are, and they will be. Judgment Day are doing their thing backstage. My expectation is that Cody and Jay will be involved in the main event. We will likely see them pop up backstage shortly. And I think the night ends with an NWO style run-in. Judgment Day running in to protect the Bloodline, Cody and Jay running in to help out with John Cena and LA Knight, and that's how the ring finishes at the end of the night. Cody, Cena, Jay, and LA Knight. That for me is how we finish it. Again, paint by numbers, but we're building towards a pay-per-view, and eventually we need to actually build towards the matches. Chris says, is this just a sort of soft call-up for Dragon Lee? Yes, it is. Dragon Lee is now on the main roster. They can't guarantee he'll stay on the main roster, but he is on the main roster. James says that would be a good War Games team. Yes, it would. Grayson Waller on the way down. Bit of backup. This is going to be a bit of a cluster. I can see Cameron Grimes getting involved just as a way to try and keep him on TV. I think the big plus is that there's a lot of options for War Games teams. There's a lot of options. I can definitely see Drew McIntyre being involved, but I can't see him with Judgment Day or the Bloodline. Judgment Day maybe, not the Bloodline. So Judgment Day versus John Cena unlikely to be there as well. Judgment Day and Drew McIntyre versus Cody, Jay, LA Knight, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn. I can see that. Kevin says, I still don't understand why there's only one women's match tomorrow. That's disrespectful for the women. I agree. They are actively rotating the championship, so only one of them pops up on pay-per-view. Don't know why. But that's where we are. I was about to say Grayson Waller tagged in, but it was only a high five. We have a commercial break. Joey says Dragon Lee must have really impressed the people backstage since he's been featured on the main roster a lot. I wouldn't say a lot, he's been featured for 2 weeks. I'd give it time before saying a lot. Snee Vegas is hoping Dragon Lee will flourish like Mysterio and not flounder like Ultimo Dragon. I actually didn't know Ultimo Dragon appeared in WWE. Brad suggests maybe multiple War Games matches. Yes, one of them will be for the women. Which I suspect is why there is a fatal four-way element around the other Rhea Ripley at the moment. Of course, as I've mentioned previously, there are 2 Rhea Ripleys. The member of Judgment Day is a heel. The women's champion is a face. There are 2 Rhea Ripleys. It's a very important distinction. And honestly, I might have to do a short on it at some point just to make it clear. The dude says, Undertaker on NXT, they're going all out to secure a new TV deal. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. And this is a huge opportunity for them to get that. Eric says, I really hope they give Dakota Kai gets a title even if it's a short reign. I'm confident that at some point in her career, she is still quite young, she will be a women's champion. Joey says, I think it's a lot since most people in NXT don't get this much time on the main roster. Yeah, pretty much. You think 2 weeks is a lot for a call-up? Surprised by that? No idea what you're trying to say, Alex. You might want to try that one again. We are heading into our final third. Triple H at times likes his 40-minute blocks. Certainly the first 40 minutes is usually one package. And as we know, Triple H does like his packages. I meant neatly packaged segments. That's what I was going for. Bayley, I'm 35. I will fight that until the end of time. I'm 35. I can still go. I could never go. But, I could still go. Dakota Kai, I'm confident, has another 10 years in wrestling, at least. Very fit. Shame about the leg injury. That it could be something that comes back to haunt her in the future. So hopefully that's recoverable and won't actually affect her too much long term. But I do think she could have a long reign at the top. I don't think she's going to be like... I'll get you, Bayley, don't worry. I don't think she's going to be like the one at any point, and I feel that's a shame. But there are bigger names at the moment, and as long as there is a Bianca Belair, as long as there is a Rhea Ripley, as long as there's a Jade Cargill, I think Dakota Kai, unfortunately, is going to be demoted a little bit because of that. Wow, James. Lovely. Lovely. Snee, you're an experience, aren't you? Chris says, it still feels like Cody, Sami, KO and Jay versus Judgment Day in War Games, but I do see Bloodline somehow getting added. Maybe they're teasing us with Bloodline being added, but in reality, we just get massive betrayal. It's going to be fun at the Royal Rumble, I tell you that. Megan says, I'm 35 and I can go to Starbucks to pick up my mobile order or to Tesco for some groceries, but that's about it right now. I'm not my fittest. I could never go. Like, I can still go, but I could never go. Eric says, what started your love for wrestling? Kane. You wouldn't believe it, but Kane. There's not much you can say beyond that. I'm not a fan anymore, as I'd imagine many of you know. But yeah, I saw a guy in a big red suit throwing choke slams and being dominant, and I was like, yeah, it's my guy, that. This was later became X-Pac and Kane, which also my jam. Telling you, X-Pac and Kane, it's the way. This is the way. Bayley says the next generation of WWE women is almost here. Jade, Tiffany, Lyra and Roxanne. Next generation's nearly here, but this generation is nowhere near done. We have a lot of time left with Rhea Ripley, with Io Sky, Dakota Kai, Bianca Belair. We still have some time left with Shayna Baszler. Zoe Stark's on the way up. We have quite a wide variety. Liv Morgan. We're only just beginning, to be fair. Lucius says, Cody Rhodes should have come out of the egg. Missed opportunity. That was a way back. Interesting powerbomb from Dragon Lee. Interesting camera work. Something went wrong there. Mix says, Ivar the Viking Raiders to get pushed by Wrestling Observer. I don't think that's been reported. Joey says, was wrestling popular in the UK when you were a kid? Yep. I was typically the referee when my friends were wrestling. Which is why I pay attention to stuff like their eyes being open. Lucha thinks Blue Kane will be at the Royal Rumble. The dude says, Tom, what's your favourite Attitude Era match? My favourite singular match? Okay, well, Triple H was my favourite. It still is in many ways. Austin Theory adding a few new moves to his arsenal. Good match so far. It's hard to pick a single individual match. It would probably be Triple H versus The Rock at SummerSlam 98. Eric says, do you all think Rhea could be the number one Paul Heyman girl? No. She doesn't need him. Doesn't need him at all. Lucia, thank you, says, please give the show a like. Tom deserves it. He's a good dude. We have 27 people and 25 likes. So I've got to be honest, you kind of all have already. It's a wonderful thing. Joey says, nice move by Theory. I think Theory has risen to meet Dragon Lee here. Really just risen to meet it. And showing what he can do. Big dive, big flip. Edge used to do that. Edge used to do that one. Hello, Martin. How you doing, man? Good to see you. I've still got about half hour left to enjoy. Joey says, Dragon Lee is a beast. Grayson Waller now getting involved. Just trying to make sure that he has no chance here. Austin Theory showing some respect to him for it. Oh look, it's Cameron Grimes. This is a really paint by numbers Smackdown. That distraction should now cost Austin Theory. There's a roll up. Good leverage on the pin. The Rhea Ripley pin. Job done. We have more trolls. Another one who says things with no evidence and no attempt. Bless you. I think they're learning. They're trying to use the names of regulars here. James says, that was the first time I've seen someone land that in a while. Landing on the feet afterwards is a bit more difficult, but still good. Lucha says, I think the teaming with Grayson Waller has really given Theory a fresh coat to paint. Always felt stale, but another heel to bounce off is working. I think once they can add Pretty Deadly back into the mix, it will help that as well. Martin says, thanks for responding earlier, but wanted to show you what is being peddled out after your fantastic Punk video the other day. I got a lot of DMs about it, and I appreciate it because it means that I literally cannot miss the news because you guys have got so many questions about it. It's fantastic. Yeah, it's one of those where you're going to hear a lot about CM Punk for a long, long time. I reported he's trying to engineer a move, and funnily enough, it was also reported today that he's trying to engineer a move. Rhea Ripley is pitching a plan to Jimmy Uso, and honestly, he likes it. The whole Judgment Day Bloodline team-up concept is the only thing that's really hyping me for SmackDown this week. Apart from that, it's just completely paint by numbers. They're spending more time hyping NXT, as in fact they are right now. The dude says, seems like Dragon Lee got a good reaction, so that's a positive. Good match, to be fair. Austin Theory showed up for it as well. Brad says, as a Shawn Michaels and Triple H at SummerSlam 2002 fan, HBK's return after 4 years away was so emotional. Not the Attitude Era. Not the Attitude Era. James says, I wonder who sends the trolls. I'm pretty sure it's still just one guy. Just one desperate, lonely, pointless guy. You know? We all know him. Everyone has met them at some point. That's definitely The Undertaker's gone. The Undertaker is going to be there at NXT. We all know people who just literally have no life and no friends, and they literally just pop into the different channels and try desperately to distract people, which is funny. Absolutely hilarious, and I personally really enjoy it because they don't realise that they're just doing you a favour. It's fun to bounce off them a little bit, infuriate them a little bit. Before you know it, literally inescapable. It's even funnier when you've got it set to subscribers only. So they subscribe, say something, get banned, but what the actual YouTube algorithm has heard is that someone just subscribed and someone chatted. And then a minute later they come back with a new account and they subscribe and they chat. And YouTube is, oh, that's another subscriber. A lot of people subscribing to this show. Hilarious. Martin, thank you kindly for your extremely generous donation. Says, Tom knows his stuff. Try again, troll, and donates a £5 mark. You are continuing to support the channel at very high levels. It was a pleasure to meet you recently and spend a little time getting to know you better, talking about the wonder that is YouTube. I really enjoyed it. Would love to do it again over Zoom or something at some point and just get to know you a little better. It's nice to have people to bounce off, you know? Helps with ideas. Thank you as always for your generosity and your friendship. Whew. James says, if they consider Cena as a GOAT, why hasn't he beat Flair's record? Because he doesn't want to. Doesn't want to. Lucha says, I have $5 that says the troll is Ryback. That dude is chaos. Extreme. Extreme. And Eric says, the trolls don't realise they only help you. They don't. It's ridiculous. It's very, very silly. Moxie suggests that we team up and take on the Judgment Line or the Bloodman Day. Good names. I like them. I like them. Kevin says, I hope the women's triple threat match better deliver tomorrow because SummerSlam triple threat match was a big disappointment. No chemistry. I didn't think it was that disappointing. I thought there were certainly really good elements. It just didn't quite play off as it should have done. They could have done better with the talent that they had. Having Bianca Belair being constantly injured throughout the whole thing limited what they could do. Sounds good, Martin. We will organise or something. Sneeze says, the trolls I know live under bridges and want me to answer his riddles free. Nah, it's nice that you check in on them, you know? You know, you're wandering around under bridges. I think that just might be someone who lives there, to be fair. Maybe help them out a little bit. But, you know, If there's riddles, at least it's entertaining. When you say stuff like his riddle's free, I just imagine Yoda living under a bridge. Answer my riddles, you will. No, I want you, little green gimp. And then you walk off, and it's not like he can stop you. He's tiny. So what if he has the Force? He's also really small. That's all I'm saying. Jay Palmer says, will Cody be on Smackdown tonight? He's supposed to be. He was advertised for the show. There's half an hour left. We're approaching Triple H's final package segment. We're approaching Triple H's final half-hour segment. So surely this is the spot where Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso will appear. I suspect they'll be involved in the main event. As expected, we have injuries to members of the LWO. Rey Mysterio and Santos Escobar may need a tag team partner. Rey's making a phone call. I think we can be confident Carlito's going to be the one. Sneeze says, the bad thing is one riddle is Matt. Oh. The two people voguing for the camera are quite entertaining. And then the smaller one who just screams at it. Sorry, I was entranced a little moment. That was just very entertaining. Joey says, remember when Vince thought Sin Cara was the next Rey Mysterio? He kind of still does. No comment. One says, hey Tom, Dave Meltzer confirmed Maria May will join AEW after all. Always appreciate. In fact, Dave Meltzer's confirmed a lot of my reports today. Man's been busy. Martin says, P.S. YouTube advertising worked for us. Smashed up in views, 30k more than usual. And 200 new subs. Fantastic, Martin. Let's give it a couple of weeks and then regroup. And we can look at how many of those subs turn to viewers and stuff like that. We can look at like retention rates and so on and so forth. I really enjoy this stuff. And if it can help and if it's interesting, let's make that happen. Because I would certainly learn a lot from seeing what you're doing. And I would happily share what I'm doing. As you know, we already have had that conversation. Brad, I don't mean to. I don't mean to. Sneeze one of the focus. James says, Tom, why do some Wrestle News pages turn off their comments when they post news? Because they don't want people questioning their news. That's the entire reason. They don't want people questioning their news. They're very protective. Personally, I think that guarantees that their news doesn't go very far, because replies and trolls are now what makes your content grow. For example, the CM Punk video, I know I keep referring back to this, but there's a reason for it. The CM Punk video received somewhere in the region of 60 comments, which is huge for me. It's absolutely huge for me. And, you know, my channel is not the biggest. And you have to pick your moments and pick your battles and the like and see how far you can go. But it's absolutely huge. So I'm looking at the channel now. The video, 2,500 likes. Oh, it's actually higher. 2,582 views, 56 likes, 74 comments. Firstly, a lot of those comments were from you guys. So I want to say a huge thank you to all of you for supporting, for getting involved, for having those conversations, and for making this grow. It's been absolutely huge for me. And that is why the videos reached 2,582 views. Because when you have 70 comments, YouTube looks at that and thinks, right, this one, we're going to push it. We're going to push it hard. Right now, I've got a little bar when I'm going live, which says concurrent viewers. And essentially, the bar goes slowly like this. So it's just a fairly standard move up. Okay, really quite helpful at times. Just slowly moving up. A large reason for that is a lot of people chatting, people hitting like. If I see a dip, I'll say to people, like right now, we have 28 likes, 2 more will get us to 30. Little something like that. will keep it continually going up. And the fact that it keeps going up after 2 hours, quite impressive. So the more engagement you have, the better. Trolls aren't a bad thing anymore. They're just not. Trolls now are a great thing. If you want to support the channel and you either don't want to or you don't have the means to do it financially, that's absolutely fine. Hit like, leave a comment. Have a conversation. Have a chat between yourselves in the comments of my videos. Post 5, 6, 7 at once. By all means. What you're doing is communicating with YouTube and saying, this video deserves attention. YouTube will then give it attention. Brad says, at least you have a sense of humour. Dom says, for kicks and giggles, maybe it's Alberto Del Rio. Sneeze says, is Triple H protective of his packages? Yes. The packages that Vince McMahon had are just not the packages that he likes. You did, James. I appreciate that. Appreciate everyone who comments and everyone who replied as well. The dude says, having Rhea be the negotiator for Judgment Day with Heyman really shows you how much they value her a lot. I mentioned a while back that the WWE did have someone that they considered to be the next Roman Reigns, and it was Rhea Ripley. They're currently running through the Fastlane card with about 20 minutes left. This is the first time we've seen Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso so far tonight. I am wondering if our main event is going to be John Cena. Personally, I'd have him open it and have Seth Rollins and Shinsuke Nakamura main event. But they're really plugging John Cena. Jimmy Uso is on the way down for the main event. Logically, it has to be Cody and Jey now for our main event segment. Interesting, Martin. Interesting. KJ says, Tom, Rey Mysterio says he has to make a call for a third guy as Wild and Del Toro are not cleared. Does he have to call Dragon Lee or will it be somebody else? This seems like the logical moment for Carlito. It does. Ron says, hey Tom, Dave Meltzer also reported AEW is in third quarters for Warner Brothers Discovery in 2025. Apparently they're confident in an agreement with AEW. Thoughts? Yeah, I don't see any reason that Warner Brothers Discovery would get rid. There's no real reason for it. They're making decent money out of them. The ratings aren't that bad. Good to hear, Martin. Good to hear. I'd be interested to hear what method you used, because there's a beta for YouTube advertising in YouTube. There's also the Google AdSense. There's a targeted one. There's quite a lot of different things. I've got a video I can show you actually that I watched recently of an expert in the field who spent quite a lot of money to buy 5 million views by different methods and then examine the benefits of those different methods to work out which was the best, which essentially got you the most people who actually turned up and watched. Kervin says, I remember people said Rhea Ripley build to WrestleMania 36. What about now? I don't understand the question, to be blunt. I don't understand the question. Joey says, it seems like WWE is signing people to contracts that were on hold before, like you reported on one of the spoiler warnings. This is a difficulty I have. For a long time now, I've wanted to basically start a Twitter thread and just list in like a constant thread things that I get right. Gotcha, Martin. Completely understand. I will leave it there. Where was I? Yes. So when it comes to spoiler warnings, I want to make a thread of everything I've reported and gotten right, because it would just be like a lot of posts. And because it's like a lot of replies, the top thing would be pushed every time I had a reply. Also, it would attract trolls. So it would really advertise the YouTube, because it would attract a lot of trolls, it would attract a lot of hate, and as such it would grow everywhere. And what is a list of things I've gotten right and evidence that I've got it right. So trolls would be arguing with evidence. There is actual evidence that they can't dispute. The issue is, I've done a lot of spoiler warning shows. I've been doing this for 3 years. That's more than 150 weeks, twice a week. I need to actually work out how many I've done, because I may have done 300 spoiler warnings by now. That's a big number. Wow. That's a big number. Kevin says, I remember people said Rhea Ripley was buried at WrestleMania 36. What about now? I don't think she was ever buried at WrestleMania 36. I honestly have no idea what you're referring to. Barry says, Ray's going to look at his phone and realise the only one on it is Dom. A beautiful and emotional family reunion. Going to get a box of tissues to dry my eyes tomorrow night. Be prepared, mate. Be prepared. We'll all feel the love. We all will. 300 shows, mate. It's a big number. Is there any surprise we're above 5,000 subscribers now? Earned it. Earned it. Roman Reigns returns next week to build towards his next title defense, which will take place at Saudi Arabia. First reported by myself, confirmed by the Wrestling Observer several weeks later. Just for anyone who hasn't done so yet, I do highly recommend that you hit subscribe if you haven't yet done so. We're currently sitting at 5,282 subscribers, a brand new record, en route to 5,300. They're advertising Ridge Holland and Butch against Elton Prince and Kit Wilson next week. Also next week on Fox, in addition to Roman Reigns and that match, Triple H will make an appearance. WWE are doing something at the minute, aren't they? They're doing something big. Gomar suggests the third guy could be a certain man who enjoys apples. He doesn't seem to enjoy apples. Keep spitting them out. Joey says it seems like Becky's been a bigger draw as NXT Women's Champion compared to Charlotte. Yeah, I would say so. Nothing wrong with that. People didn't want Charlotte on NXT. Okay, Brad, that didn't take place at WrestleMania 36. Oh, no, it did. Yeah. I get what you're saying. Okay, I understand now. Thank you, Brad. It's helped. The dude says, pretty deadly back already. You love to see it. Joey says, wow, I wonder why Triple H is going to be there. Come here. Come here. No, come here. No, come on, guys. Come here. Come here. Come here. War Games. I never knew his name. Never got a name. Anyway. Bayley says, how soon before Hulk Hogan claims he will appear next week? Probably already claimed it 15 times. The dude says, you mentioned packages. Now Triple H is showing up next week. Coincidence? Yes. Mick Moon says, see, there was fake news about Triple H and Stephanie's divorce. Yep. To my knowledge, did not happen. Pete, I didn't see what you posted. I'm not particularly worried about it, though. Kevin says they need to do something on Raw because Raw is tough to watch. Personally, I don't really find that an issue because I watch Raw after the fact on Tuesday and I watch it with no breaks. So, Joey says apparently there was another CM Punk reference. If you try and I don't mean you per se here, Joey, just to be clear. If someone tries to tell me that someone has mentioned, oh, John Cena is the best in the world, and they're like, oh, well, obviously that's a reference to CM Punk. CM Punk is not the best in the world, okay? He's not. He's claimed it as a catchphrase. That doesn't mean other people can't call themselves the best in the world. I know, Sneed, that your name features the word Vegas, so naturally you would remember this. But we don't really focus enough on how Triple H and Stephanie got married. Dom says Jimmy's character is confusing. Is he scared or is he dangerous? What is it? He's got the confidence of a very, very stupid person. That's it. He can't win, but someone has built his confidence. He's got it. Jimmy Uso is James Ellsworth. Tell me I'm wrong. Megan says, could Triple H be there to formally introduce Jade Cargill? That would be cool. That is how you lay a marker down and say, this person right here, this is going to be the one. The dude said, isn't Shane McMahon still the best in the world according to WWE law? Why was no one saying that was a reference to CM Punk? Why is nobody saying that Hulk Hogan's making references to CM Punk by mentioning Shane McMahon? Joey says they were referencing another one of CM Punk's Ring of Honor promos, not the best in the world. Were they? I'm not sure they were. KJ says, Tom, I feel you. The Punk teases are getting out of hand. This past Monday, Cole said puppet. People said that was a Punk teaser. He said puppet in one of his Ring of Honor promos. It's such a reach. Yeah, the issue is, as much as anything, I just heard Michael Cole use the word the. Now, to be clear, I've also heard CM Punk use the word the. Coincidence? I think not. I think not. Teasing. They know. Martin says, not War Games. That means 1 month of CM Punk hype, then everyone being disappointed. P says, what channel is Fastlane on? Is it WWE channel? Yep, I'm watching it on the network. The network on my PlayStation. Which seems to keep getting worse, and yet is consistently better than the BT Sport app. Chris says, Shane McMahon is the best in the world. He is. He won a tournament after The Miz was injured and everyone else had already wrestled quite a bit. I didn't say it was a good moment for anyone involved, because it wasn't, but he did win a tournament. I wish I couldn't say that. I wish it was all a crazy dream or some sort of joke. But no. But no. What a world we live in. What I do like, and one of the reasons I made the video that I did, is that the CM Punk video, and I know I mention this a lot, I'm very proud of it. I've also been quite clever with it, because here's the thing. Everyone going to be talking about CM Punk well into Survivor Series. And the title literally says CM Punk wants back in WWE, which is now being confirmed by a number of different outlets. So not only is it a report of backstage information thus adding to my overall credibility, but in addition to that, it's going to be constantly referenced and people are going to be constantly fed to it over the next few months. It's going to be a favourite of YouTube search. And YouTube, of course, is a massive search engine. Even now, over the last 48 hours, it's had 47 views. So about a view an hour. That's not tremendous. But that's 24 hours per day. So that's another 100 views every 4 days. If this keeps going into Survivor Series, which is next month, another 40 days, that's nearly 1,000 views. All with an opportunity to find me a new subscriber. Basically what I'm saying is, I'd be a happy boy. Eric says, who do you all think Ray was on the phone with? I say Los Lotharios, hear me out. Their uncle is one of the founding members of the LWO, plus Selena already has history with Angel. The issue you've got there is that how disappointed would they be if they've been promised Carlito by Peter Insider, and what you get is Angel Garza. I got that completely wrong. Angel Garza. Joey says, I loved when the fans were chanting CM Punk's name when Shane announced the best in the world tournament. Yeah, they knew what they were doing. That's back when they actually chanted that at WWE events. They don't really do that anymore. Sneeze says, AEW should debut a wrestler named CM Funk. See, what I think they should do, this will be quite clever. They debut CM Punk. The same character, but played by a different actor. I can't think of where I got that idea from. But it's genius. Glenn Jacobs available? He could be one of them. Didn't he put... No. It could be Colt Cabana, right? They repackage him and give him the character of CM Punk. Give him like a Pepsi, like a fake Pepsi tattoo. I reckon he could do the job. And then before you know it, people are paying to see him. CM Punk's over, regardless of who's actually playing the role. Yes, Jim Ross, perfect. Jim Ross is in AEW right now. They're not doing too much with him. If Jim Ross introduced him saying, I brought back CM Punk, and then CM Punk comes down, like played by Colt Cabana, that, like, you're tuning in, aren't you? You're tuning in. They push it for like a month. Jim Ross saying, I'm bringing CM Punk back. The fans are chanting CM Punk, and then CM Punk comes down to the ring. I've cracked it, guys. I've cracked it. Absolutely. Nailed it. Solo Sikoa has arrived. There's 10 minutes left, and the match is over. This is going to go carnage. Guys, War Games. John Cena's on his way down, and my God, the hair. Solo Sikoa hasn't even turned around. I don't know why. Moxie says, Tom, who would win the Bloodline when it had Jay, Jimmy, Solo, Sammy and Roman versus the Judgment Day now? The Judgment Day now because they've got nothing to deal with Rhea Ripley. LA Knight and John Cena in the ring. Here comes Judgment Day. So here's the thing. They're about to justify War Games. That's all it is. That's all they're doing. The WWE are actively justifying War Games. I'm going to type that. I'm going to put that on Twitter. With Judgment Day, Judgment Day and the Bloodline working together, the WWE is justifying a choice that has already been made. War Games. War Games. Going to copy the link because, you know, fun. And I'm going to share it right here for you guys. Because, right? War Games. Cody Chan. They've announced he's there, Cody and Jay. So it's 6-on-2, Rhea Ripley not being involved. Here comes Jay. So it's going to be what, 6 versus 4? Where's Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn? Guys, War Games. So I mentioned, I believe it was in around July, the War Games had been locked in. Cody. Cody chant start again. They are milking this for all it's worth. Jimmy keeps saying to Finn Balor, you got to attack Jay. Here we go. Cody comes in. It's War Games, guys. It's War Games. Cody and John Cena are in the same ring. And LA Knight's there too. They turn the music down too quickly and the crowd are just like, nah, mate. Absolutely not. Paul Heyman is taking Solo Sikoa out of the picture. And Cody starts picking the fight. Nope, now you will not join the Bloodline. Joey says they're teasing War Games already. Yeah, they've been teasing War Games for weeks. Why do you think Judgment Day's been so heavily featured? Megan says the way the show is ending, I won't be surprised if Bloodline and Judgment Day versus Knight, Cena, Cody, Jay turns out to be the dark match to test the waters for War Games. I agree with that. That's a good way of putting it. LA Knight's waiting for his spot here. Solo Sikoa stepping up to Cody. I've mentioned before, I think Solo versus Cena is the match for Saudi Arabia. But hey, no Roman Reigns thus far. But we have a little tease of a Cena versus Solo match. Martin saying quite rightly, Cena showed for that far too early. LA Knight was watching, had his hand to his face to cover the fact that he was clearly watching and waiting for his spot. He's now stepping up to Solo. Okay. I think you guys are... JD McDonough's about to get the crap kicked out of him. Like, that's the entire reason you're there. Okay, that's exactly what's happening. JD McDonough is there just to get beat up. He won't be in War Games. He will not be in War Games. And the good guys win. Solo's getting to his feet. No sign of Dominic as of yet. JD McDonough is literally just getting the crap kicked out of him. Good landing. Good sell. Cena points to Cody, who takes his belt off, and it's about to get real erotic. Bayley says, JD McDonough already passed Austin Theory on the card? No. And a crossroads. Oversell. Oversell. Good initial impact. Oversell afterwards. So I know this is a tease for 2 matches on Fastlane, but Martin quite rightly points out they end on Cody's music. He is the face of WWE. At the moment, it's still Seth and it's still Becky and it's still Roman. Cody's going to be the guy. Joey says JD getting the rub from Cena and Cody. Grayson Waller's the one who's been forgotten. So once again, that could not have been a more by-the-numbers show. Obvious choices all the way through. The only real surprise was Judgment Day and the Bloodline actually working together. There was nothing special, yet it still hit the peaks it needed to. Still gave you enough excitement for the certain aspects that it needed to. LA Knight is in a fantastic spot right now. Fantastic spot. Jay and Jimmy Uso are benefiting from this split. They will be going up against each other. And let's just say I'm very excited for Survivor Series, but I'm not necessarily excited for Saudi Arabia in between. Because one thing we haven't mentioned yet is Roman Reigns is coming back. And I suspect he might tilt the odds back in the Bloodline's favour. Bayley says the Rhea Ripley spot with Paul Heyman will get the viral views, which is absolutely correct. Megan says, don't Google me, got owned. You could Google him. You probably don't want to. Martin enjoying the possibility of a CM Punk. Hey, maybe he'll be the great equalizer. Maybe it'll be the Bloodline and Judgment Day versus Cody Rhodes, Jey Uso, John Cena, LA Knight, and CM Punk, or Cum Punk. Another way of saying it. Will Cum Punk come back to the WWE? Do you want Cum Punk in the WWE? Has Cum Punk already been talking about return to the WWE, or did Cum Punk have too many issues in AEW that prevented Cum Punk from making the friends that he was looking for? Are you a Cum Punk guy? Do you Cum Punk? Or do you prefer rock and roll? There was a tangent there. I'm not going to say why, because I don't know why. I don't know how or what just happened. My brain doesn't always work. But I do know that there was indeed a tangent there. 5,282 subscribers, 31 likes, 370 views. A hell of a good time. We will be live tomorrow, starting with the pre-show. Absolutely will do, Joey. We will, of course, be talking about all of the matches upcoming for Fastlane and then diving all the way into it. In the meantime, as always at this point, I will say, I've been Tom Colohue. You have been fantastic, and I'll see you all very soon.